These days, many of us have a camera something like this, mainly to record those memorable moments of family life. But in years to come, how many of our efforts will come to be regarded as being of national significance? Well, it happened to one family here in the northwest. The family is called the Alexanders. They were an extraordinary wealthy family from Wirral. What you're seeing are quite unique moments from their life. The films they took over 40 years were only discovered recently. They show a family of work, rest and play, and are an intriguing social tapestry of a way of life long forgotten. And now, thanks to the film's discovery, a way of life we will always remember. The Alexander Archive is a treasure chest of memory and a quite remarkable achievement. It's a story of love, tragedy and obsession, an obsession that was to last for 44 years. And it's all because of this woman and this camera, and her sense of duty. In 1919, Marjorie Alexander, a wealthy young woman who lived in Heswell on Wirral, bought a Kodak cine camera. It was to be a diversion following the tragic death of her fiancé in the First World War. But from that moment on, Marjorie never stopped filming her family's rich and privileged life. Their wealth came from the family's accountancy firm, which was based in Liverpool. And although the 1920s were a time of Great Depression, the Alexanders' company grew and prospered. Being rich meant Marjorie could travel, and wherever she went, the camera went with her. It became a passion. Her archive features some incredible moments, from an encounter with Hitler, who drove past her in 1934 at the Nuremberg Rally. And a year later she filmed King George V, arriving at Liverpool's Sefton Park for his Silver Jubilee celebrations. 30 years on and she was still filming. This time it's the Queen and Prince Philip in New Zealand. It was her opportunism with the camera that saw Marjorie film moments like these. A ship aground in the River Mersey. And nearby, this rare piece of footage shows HMS Conway, the Navy's training vessel, which later foundered in the Menai Straits. And naturally, Marjorie was there. But until recently, the films remained forgotten and lost in an attic. Now they're being hailed as a unique collection and a living time capsule of life here in the Northwest. Gemma Alexander is now 84 and the sole survivor of a close-knit family. He lives in Dent near Sedbergh in Cumbria and is the last surviving link to his Aunt Marjorie Alexander. She devoted her life to looking after him and his two brothers, Stuart and Donald, and sister Hilary when their mother died. Gemmell was 9.
She really was a most remarkable woman by any standards. Those of you who've been seeing something of her photography will know how well she managed with a camera and in those days on her own and what she achieved with it. But you imagine a young girl who lost her fiancé in the First World War and decided to devote herself to looking after her mother. Her brother's wife dies and her brother with 4 children dumped themselves on her. She's not just got a mother to look after, she's got a brother and 4 children. And she managed it all. She loved us all. She showed her love for us all, and she coped with that. So she must have had a great deal of talent.
Marjorie's life story and those of her family, the Alexanders, is quite extraordinary. But it's a story that might never have been told. The films were almost lost when Marjorie died. Gemmell cleared out the entire collection, including her camera and projector, never thinking he'd ever see them again. The archive ended up selling at auction for just £9. In the following years, the collection passed through several hands and was due to go to a car boot sale before it was rescued by film collector Steve Bate, who runs a video production company near Conway in North Wales. For Steve, researching the films has become a voyage of discovery.
The minute he started winding the editor, he was actually going back into the 1920s. And you felt that he was looking through a hedge in the garden, actually watching these people. But you've got the original boxes all labelled up with the dates and progressive dates going right through into the 60s. And she used to cut and splice all the films onto these 400-foot cans. We got a shock to find that Miss Alexandra's actual original projector, this thing still runs to this day. It's still got its original bulb from possibly from the 20s and 30s, I don't know, but that was a surprise finding that working. Another amazing thing was Miss Alexandra's camera.
Using the camera was no easy task. You had to follow the manual closely. Marjorie had to load the film, thread it through and wind it around the inner spools. She then had to wind the camera up. This gave her enough power to shoot only 29 seconds of film each time.
And she would have just pulled the trigger. And to think that she never used a tripod, was actually using the viewfinders. I can't really quite do this today because I'm spoiled by tripods, but that is amazing that she kept these shots so steady.
For Gemmell, it's been an extraordinary experience, suddenly being able to relive his past. He took me to Steve Bates' studio to look at some of the archive.
You have to try and remember that it was taken over 40 years.
How does it make you feel, that, looking at this sort of thing at
an early part of your life? Cool. Look at the snow. You sort of enter into it, really, when you watch it. You sort of get into the spirit of what's going on. It's so familiar. You know, it's all family, and you're there and just thinking of it and doing it straight away.
This is one of the rare moments when Marjorie appears before the camera. But all the while she's joining in the fun in the snow, she's having to count the seconds before she has to run back and wind the camera up again. It's now a garden full of memories for Gemmell, who lived here with Marjorie for a short while after his mother died in 1929. The games in the snow on what looked like tea trays, they were on the bank here in front of the house, were they?
Yes, it's been developed now with steps and a very nice, neat and picturesque garden. But then it was just a grassy bank in that corner. And that's where we came sliding down on our tea trays and snowballing here in the corner. We moved in here just immediately after my mother died. I mean, I was about, 9 or 10, and my young sister was 4 or 5. We were very young, and everything we did here was young people, very young people playing.